Alright, we bringing the Versus series back. I have not done one of these in years. Today you already know, two of the latest Arc System Works styled games are going head to head. Who will win? DNF Duel versus Guilty Gear Strive. Disclaimer, before I go any further, I have to say a few things. I'm not here to degrade or devalue another product or another game. It's all just for the fun of things. These are both beautiful fighting games, and if they weren't, people wouldn't be playing them. Lastly, I will only compare the first 2 weeks of Guilty Gear Strive versus what the other product is now. It's not fair for DNF since it's just, we don't know what else Aiding is planning or doing with this game for the future. And if you guys said no, it's okay to do that. Video would just be praising Guilty Gear Strive like too crazy for how it is right now, with all the updates it got since Season 1. Without further ado, LGI, let's get it. Lego. Story. Here's an ultimate hot take. I think Arc System Works created something I want with fighting game story modes, if this is the bare minimum, besides what them Fighting Herds did. I think I'd rather just watch a full movie of the story mode and lore instead of fight, cutscene, fight. This is going to play different. I think it's perfect middle ground instead of what DNF Duel did with the visual novel like story with a few visual cutscenes. If you watch my Guilty Gear Strive reaction, I was in tears. At the time, I just had a passing happen and Soul Story just hit me, you know. DNF Duel story mode is also cool. However, it is not as dynamic as Guilty Gear Strive. I know many claim and many people just hate story modes in games like this or having to play an arcade mode. Prime example, not everybody has Lost Warrior unlocked in DNF Duel. Like, why pay $60 for a story like this if you're a casual when you could go buy something else of that caliber or for the same quality for maybe even cheaper nowadays? I think for story, honestly, it has to go to Guilty Gear Strive. It's more animated, it gets you and puts you in the world to where you care more. And even in DNF Duel, most people don't even want to play the arcade mode or story mode once just to unlock one character. And that's 30 minutes versus probably 3 hours to 5 hours of watch time. And then y'all will probably say, well, y'all, why don't you just use the new stuff Guilty Gear Strive has? And I'm like, no, because they added more story to the game that was pretty dope. And then I just be cheating for DNF because we don't even know, that's a very slim chance fighting games add more to their story for even content or DLC after launch. Next is content. Now, I don't know if this is a good logic or a good analogy, but let's try it. So there are 2 bottles of barbecue sauce. The medium-sized bottle costs $4.50 and a large costs $4.75. I know if I had the money, I might as well spend the extra quarter or 25 cents for the larger bottle. This is how I feel about the content debate with both Guilty Gear Strive versus DNF Duel. Both games have pretty much the same features, but Guilty Gear Strive just does it better overall in my opinion. Now, depending on who you are, you might like the style of things in Guilty Gear and how things are, in quotations, more stylish. I think base Guilty Gear Strive worked better than DNF Duel on launch. This might be another hot take, but one thing I surely do love about Guilty Gear Strive is the part. Yeah, both games have ranked and lobbies and casual match, but Guilty Gear having an interactive player arena or area, which I do not want to get into if it's good or bad because I'll be end up running here, and having the casual part is pretty dope. DNF Duel has traditional things and functions which work for the most part. However, you can search for rooms in DNF Duel and make your own passcode. I don't think you could do that with Guilty Gear Strive. When you make a room in Guilty Gear Strive, they give you a random generated passcode that you have to pass around, which can be very tedious or annoying instead of just making like password 1000. The problem with DNF Duel though is most player rooms you see now at this point already are either locked. It's going to be very rare you see a room just open, and it could just be by accident because somebody's hosting an event or a tournament. I think Guilty Gear Strive wins in player retention, keeping the players coming back over and over again, and it's why Strive still has a strong base for a fighting game a whole year later. Alright, next is gameplay. Alright, this is very hard to say which has better gameplay. I sat here for a day thinking, damn, does DNF Duel beat Guilty Gear Strive in gameplay, or is DNF Duel just more fun because of its return to form? I think this depends on the person. But you gotta ask yourself, do you want style or do you want more balanced substance? And then you gotta also ask yourself another layer of your question. But in the actual case of both DNF Duel versus Guilty Gear Strive, do you want Kusoge or crazy interactions? What makes DNF Duel so good is that it has no polarizing gameplay mechanics like wall breaks. Personally, I cannot stand wall breaks in Guilty Gear Strive. I 100% hate how it resets neutral, and for me, it kind of devalues putting the opponent in the corner for me. Even if you do get positive bonus and meter gain after you knock them through the wall, it just feels like everything's starting over and my brain just can't do it. It kind of also kills why getting your opponent in the corner in the first place is fun, I guess. However, DNF Duel loses me because I hate the movement of the game to an extent, and I hate the lack of defense options in the game, or rather not hate, more so just not what I like in fighting games personally. Does it make it bad? No. Again, it's just my taste and preferences. Guilty Gear Strive does have a guard meter, I believe, but running away in Guilty Gear Strive will put you in a penalty. Even in Guilty Gear Strive, if things are getting too crazy for you, you can yellow roaming cancel and get them off of you. If you don't remember, YRC for short. And you have burst in Guilty Gear. Someone suggested push block for DNF Duel, and I went, that kind of sounds pretty dope actually. I hate guard cancel on DNF Duel because everyone doesn't have similar ranges of good animations on guard cancels. Look at Swiftmaster's guard cancel and then look at Striker's guard cancel. It's very inconsistent depending on the character, and I don't think that should be something that's unique in this game. I don't know, I think everybody should have something very similar. What DNF Duel does great is the combo system of the game. It's like the best part about DNF Duel to me. It's addicting, it rewards execution. Again, even with simple inputs making things more accessible, things can still get challenging. If I had to give my personal take overall, I 100% think DNF Duel might be the better game overall. It got less annoyances than Strive for me. I was going to do a DLC character category for the game. However, I'm going to be real rap with you. My biggest problem with Strive and then some of the new characters that come to Strive and versus DNF is the characters, okay? So, right now with DNF Duel, we do not have DLC confirmed or announced for the game, which will most likely get announced within a month or so, or in sometime this year, right? The problem with Guilty Gear is that I have a background with Guilty Gear. So some of my favorite moves are not in the game, and it tilts me like why I like Guilty Gear. For example, I am still salty about no greed sever in Guilty Gear Strive, and the mods have it. Or how they changed some of my favorite characters' Testament movesets. Testament has none of my favorite moves from the old version of Accent Core compared to Strive. And that hurts me a lot every time I see new DLC characters. Even though I know this is supposed to be a new whole thing, the essence of these characters ain't really making it hype for me anymore, and that's the big problem, you know? Even if you've been around with Guilty Gear and you've been paying attention to the Strive community, a lot of people hate how Biken plays because she is nothing like her last counterpart from other games. Thus, in quotations, people are saying Biken is neutered, and therefore people are like annoyed with that. But other than that, I do think Guilty Gear Strive is the better game all around in every department. So which is the better game at the end of the day? Guilty Gear Strive or DNF Duel? I'm going to be 100% honest. I'm going to have to give it to Guilty Gear Strive. Guilty Gear Strive is just all around a better package for the game. However, DNF Duel did drop this price on release to $50 instead of $60 or $70, I believe. I think Guilty Gear Strive as a package for consumer, as a product, because that's something that's very important on this channel. Like, I care about the product of video games too. I think Guilty Gear Strive definitely wins in that department, but gameplay. I think DNF Duel has probably the more polarizing, but also very addictive gameplay loop because of its combat system. The big problem with Guilty Gear Strive's combat for a long period of time, depending on who you ask, you either get over it or you still upset that there's no Gatlings in Guilty Gear Strive, which makes the combos weird for people who are veterans of Guilty Gear. For new people, they probably don't even care. They're like, yo, this is just dope all around. But honestly, I think DNF Duel destroys in the gameplay department. All DNF Duel really need is a burst or either nerf the damage on some things, and people will probably switch their opinion on it, but a lot of people have uninstalled both games in the first 2 to 3 weeks of its release. So yeah, I have to give it to Guilty Gear Strive is the winner of today's Versus. If you'd like to see more Versus content from your boy, hit the subscribe button down below. I could do more. I got other ideas in the pipeline too. And next week we will be on Multiverses. That being said, it's your boy Avataryaya. If you want all RPGs and fighting game content, this is one of your places to be. And remember, you guys are golden, and that is raw. Squalla, peace, and I'm out.
I've been the devil, I need me an arc in the heart. Am I breathing? I feel like time's roll. Walking this bitch with a zombie. I want to see rocket, I keep me a domino. Bitch, I'm a dip.